What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. I am your host, one of your hosts, Coach Smook, along with our co-host and co-panelists, Coach Jay and Coach Sean. Man, fellas, y'all already know, man, we are excited. We are going to give y'all the immediate reactions, the immediate insight from the Alabama versus Middle Tennessee State University. What they is the Blue Raiders, whatever they is now, they over with. We get to talk about the good stuff. We get into it. I feel like we had some questions answered before we get into it, guys. Before we get into it, chat. We see you all running up the chat, running up the likes. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to get in here and interact with your fellow Bama fans. What's good, man? It is going down. Let's get the panel on. Let's hear from them. Yo, Coach Jay, how you feeling, man? First initial reaction before we even just get into the technical stuff. Give me how you feel about that game we just played.
Man, I feel revamped. I feel re-energized. I mean, this looked like a little bit of old Bama football. I'm not gonna go overboard and say this is 2011 or 2012 type Bama football, but man, we were physical. We were energized like crazy. I mean, it was an absolute phenomenal experience if you are a Bama fan to try to get back some of that old nostalgia of what we used to look like, man. So overall wise, I mean, the sides of the offensive line, 330 pounds of average. Seeing Caden Proctor as a left tackle get his experience in there. Tyler Booker being extremely physical. Jalen Milroe was absolutely incredible. I mean, as far as improvements goes, how he was able to improve up from his base to his throwing mechanics overall to setting his footwork in order to kind of time the passes up a little bit more efficiently. It was really, really good to see, man. So overall wise, I'm excited to see what this program can look like, especially when you're going against a tough opponent like the Texas Longhorns, man. But yes, phenomenal win by Alabama. Of course, we got some things we got to clean up, but overall wise, this is a great start. I think the key thing before I kind of move on here is that everything looked simplified. Nothing looked too, overall just maddening laid away. Everything looked simplified and it didn't look overcomplicated. We got things right, and again, we're trusting the process, which is a great thing for us so far.
I'm right there with you, brother. Hey, Coach Sean, talk to me, man. Give me your initial reactions. I know you're more reserved. You straight to the point. Give it to us, Coach. You like just so y'all know, chat. On the panel, we got like the old head, then we got the more unbiased, reasonable guy in Jay. Then you got me. I'm gonna go get her. I shoot and I live with the shot. I kind of it's calculated, but if it don't hit, we keep rolling to the next shot. So give it to us, Coach. Come on, Coach Sean. Give it to us. How you feeling?
For me, man, it's simple. It's simple. The game plan was tops for me. I wanted to know how we were going to use Jalen Milroe. I loved how they got him involved first. I love the play calling. That was so key to me. After last year, a lot of offensive plays that did not make any sense to me. A lot of receiver routes that did not make any sense to me. I loved how they used Jalen Milroe. I loved how they got him involved early. I love the fact that they came out with 12 personnel. He was very comfortable in that formation. I really, really enjoyed that. I wanted to see the script of plays. I loved how they got him into short passes, intermediate passes, got him into a groove. I think he started off 7 for 7 before he missed his first pass, if I'm not mistaken. So for me, that was the number one thing on offense. I also love on defense the fire that the guys came out with. I hadn't seen that type of enthusiasm, from play to play in a long time, man. It wasn't really in any individual celebrating. It was everybody celebrating together. Everybody, and that's a dangerous team. That's a dangerous team. When you see a team celebrating together, that makes for a dangerous squad. So for me, the coaching abilities, that's what I want to know. The script of plays, how did they use Jalen Milroe, and the enthusiasm of the team. Those were all things I talked about before the game, and I was utterly satisfied with what I saw.
Man, Sean, the thing is, and Coach Jay, we get into all these points that we were making, all these questions that we wanted answered. And honestly and truly, we know we didn't get the answers, but there were some great indicators and some positive things that the talk and the actions are lining up. The first thing, that's what I noticed. The actions are lining up. I saw physicality tonight. all except for one spot, and we'll get into that, But I saw the physicality, I saw the effort on plays, I saw guys giving the second effort in plays where things could have looked a lot like last year if guys didn't give that second effort. But you saw the determination, you saw hunger in guys who we gave it their time is that they're make it or break it year, their time to shine, their time to come out. And we saw guys capitalize on, a few injuries that we got notice of. And you saw the guys that were quote unquote replacements or guys that had to step up. If they're the guys that's stepping up, I'm ready to see what a healthy first stringer, first group guys looking like. So overall defense, I was excited. I was ready to see the talent be displayed. And we saw both in the coverage and the physicality on the run game that Alabama defense is in theory, even though it's Middle Tennessee State, we did exactly what we need to do. We didn't let them dictate anything that we did on defense. Our defense actually dictated the offensive play call, which is exactly what you want to do. We talked about that last show. Offensively, Jalen Milroe just looks so comfortable. I haven't seen that kid that calm and that comfortable. Yeah. And mind you, we gave him credit for how poised he was last year against Texas A&M and how he was against Arkansas. But the look in the eyes was different this year. The way he was directed, he didn't talk too much on the sidelines. He gave directions. He led by his actions, and even just his calm demeanor and his celebrations were that of what you want to see a leader who wants to give. He wants his offense to portray the same attitude he has, and I think the attitude that Jalen Milroe has when it comes to leading his team is infectious, and that's what we see going through the locker room right now. So big ups to Alabama football on the 56-7 win over Middle Tennessee State. We're going to go to the chat and acknowledge a few comments right now. And while we're going to the chat, Jay, let's highlight some key things real quick. First, let's start off on the defensive side. We kind of knew what we were getting on the defensive side as far as talent. Let's talk about some of the statistics that stood out to you just right off the bat. Some of the statistics before we get into individual player performances and stuff of that nature. Let's talk about some of these defensive stats.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things that I really liked was the fact how for team defense, they were 6 for 16 on defensive conversions. That's something that I really, really like because one of the key things that Alabama struggled with last year was getting off the field in third down situations. So the fact that they forced Middle Tennessee, especially a little earlier on, because you got to remember a lot of Middle Tennessee's conversions happened a little bit in that second half, a little bit late in that second half, especially in the fourth quarter, especially during that last drive, which resulted in a touchdown. So you got to like the fact how this defense was able to get off the field quick in a hurry. And not to mention, too, this is a difficult scheme, the air raid it's a difficult scheme to go against. Not a lot of teams have a lot of success against it. You're not going to really see a lot of teams run that air raid and simply just run empty and 5 wide and simply just spread you out and hit you and really hit you that much with the short and intermediate routes. So the fact that Alabama was able to get off the field in certain situations, we talked about this before, how Alabama struggled in the past getting linebackers, not just running with open space. Well, I mean, Alabama does not have that problem, especially at that middle linebacker position. And we saw some of the rotations with Quindarius Robinson. We saw Deontay Lawson. We saw Tresman Marshall. We saw a lot of these other guys get in there, and you saw the athleticism and the fact how you saw a lot of these short intermediate throws happen. We were there immediately at the point of attack. Now, did we always wrap up and did we always try to get the tackle? No, and that's something that we got to get better at. But overall wise, the fact that we was able to literally get off the field and get our offense some really good field position and give them time to work in order for our defense to save that energy for the next series was a very, very crucial play. I think also, too, allowing a air raid pass happy defense, allowing only 211 yards, where again, a majority of those yards came in the second half. That's got to be credit for what this Alabama defense has been able to do up front, especially at the edge, guys like Chris Braswell that can get after the quarterback. And again, it's a huge testament to not just the linebackers, but to our secondary. Let's give props to our secondary. Guys wrapped up. I'm not going to lie to you. Our cornerbacks and safeties were a lot better in wrapping up compared to our linebackers, and that's no shade to our linebackers. That's just how good our secondary was. Guys like Caleb Downs, guys like Jalen Key, right? Guys like Terry and Arnold. These are guys that were able to step up right at the point of attack and establish physicality right at the brink. So I'm excited moving forward to see what this defense can do. But this was a great sign against a very difficult offense to scheme against, how Alabama was able to rise up to the occasion.
I'm glad you hit all those points, man, because a lot of people look at the number, and I want you to. I know you highlight the number 200 and what it was 211 passing
11
yards, right?
Yep. Total yards.
Total. That's to me. That's better because last year we gave up I think 386 total yards to Utah State first game. You know, and you look at the amount of missed tackles from last year, I think it was 11 missed tackles in the first half against Utah State. Guys, we beat Utah State. I think we put up 40 points. You know, we same looking at the score, you would think it was the same type of result, same type of efficiency. But this game compared to opening last year, like we said earlier in the show in the first statements, everybody's first statement, guys looked like they knew what they were doing out there, and they looked like they were happy to be playing football again, especially on the defensive side. Let's jump to the offensive side, Coach Sean. Highlight
before we do
Go
highlight that comment from Bo White, please. I'd like you to comment to highlight.
I was just about to
say
it.
Let's highlight that comment very quickly if we possibly could. Shout out to Bo White. You know what I mean?
Is it close to the bottom? I can't see it. Bo White.
I think it's Bo White.
Okay, Coach Sean. Right here.
Yes, let's highlight that, shall we? Yeah. Shout out to Bo. Shout out to the homie Bo. Shout out to Jeff Stapleton. Shout out to Always Believe. Shout out to everybody in the chat that's coming in. But Bo said, Coach Sean, you've been dead on about Milroe from day one. I understand it's one game, guys, but I knew this young man. We were judging him on one game, the Texas A&M game. I challenge everybody to go back and look at Bryce's first game. He had a great pass in that Miami game to J-Mo. Look at his stats compared to Jalen Milroe's. Look at Mac Jones' first real start compared to Jalen Milroe's. They were very, very similar, guys. So we were judging that man off one game. Let's give him his just due for one game. You never know what the future holds.
Can I get 1 second? One second. You before you continue, people always try to talk about that Jalen Milroe game, right?
Yeah,
his first start. Y'all remember what happened when Mac Jones had his first start? We lost the Iron Bowl. Lost the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. All right. That's all I wanted to highlight. So, but then we won a natty the next year. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as far as the offense, guys, the most thing I was really, really, really in love and impressed with, it was balanced attack. It was a balanced attack, man. 226 passing yards, 208 total rushing yards, an average of 6.8 yards per play. That's great, man. That is what you want to see when you're playing good complementary football. Also, third down efficiency, 10 of 13. If we can go 10 of 13 on third down, we'll go undefeated this whole year. I promise you that. If we can convert third down conversions and stay on the field, move the chains, we will win most of our games unless we turn the ball over and keep the other team in the game. I was extremely excited about how they used Jalen Milroe. I was extremely excited about how they used the running backs. And the fact is, this is what people don't realize when you're playing defense against somebody like Jalen. When Jalen had these big runs like that, guys, all the defensive court, especially when he's successful and gains these big chunk yards like that, every defensive coordinator in the land is going to start putting extra people up. They're going to start creeping up just a little bit more. They're going to start creeping up to the line of scrimmage. That opens up pass plays down the field, which is exactly what happened. You see, start taking pass. We actually had super opportunities to go deep early in the game. I caught me and the guys were texting, and I told Coach Smook and Coach Jay, I said, guys, we got to go deep. Look how close their safeties are playing. We got to take a shot. And maybe the next play or two, they took a shot. I think it was
your reception or your stream was just a few minutes behind because it literally had happened after, like right before you text. I was typing the dot. You know what I'm saying? I was like Milroe the dot, and it was crazy. But we were thinking the same thing.
We were saying the same thing, and I really enjoyed it, man. I really loved how Tommy Rees used Jalen. It is completely different. I understand he's a completely different quarterback, from Bryce. But at the same time, the way he used Jalen is exactly how I love to use him. Shout out to my partner, Anthony Riggins. Huge Bama fan. Roll tied to the big homie, Anthony. Love you to death, brother. Listen, guys, this is what you want to see from the offense. If you've got to play a team like Middle Tennessee that's going to play that sort of defense, this is what you want to see. I will say this. They did have a little bit of success when they brought pressure on third and long. I noticed on third and long, these guys, they brought pressure. They blitzed a lot. I can almost guarantee you that Texas would try to at least do the same thing. They're going to try to bring pressure on Jalen. So if I know Tommy, he'll probably have some hot routes. He'll probably have a couple of screens here and there. You know what I mean? So we'll be just fine. I saw everything that I wanted to see from Jalen tonight, and I'm more confident tonight than I ever have been.
And I'm going to agree 1,000, 100,000, 100 million, thousand, whatever % with both of y'all, because the thing is, we are acknowledging that there is room to grow. There's always room to grow. But if this is our starting ground, if this is our base, I am more excited about the feeling that we are possibly going to reach. Highlighting a few things. Offensive coordinator's ability to make adjustments with the play calling. Yep. We saw a successful style of play calling that worked on the first drive. He didn't evade that play calling. He went with that same style of play calling, run pass ratio, but he tried the personnel in different formations. Still, I love the 12 personnel. Like you said earlier, Sean, the 12 personnel I feel like that's going to be our bread and butter when we get against teams that can't cover the tight ends, that can't bring the safety down and get effective run support. And effective run support is keeping a rushing defense at 12 personnel, 3 yards or less. Alabama out of 12 personnel averaged 6 yards per carry tonight.
And for those that don't understand, 12 personnel is one running back and two tight ends.
Two tight ends, yes.
Personnel.
Yep. Yeah. And we rotated a lot with the tight ends. CJ Dupree.
We rotated our whole specialist group as far as this, the wide receivers and tight ends. I saw Kendrick Law. I saw Isaiah Bonds, Kobe Prentice, Jermaine Burton, Ja'Cory Brooks, Malik Benson. All of these guys were in, and they had to be recognized, like they had to be accounted for by the scheme. The scheme looked different tonight. I didn't see not one play where there were 4 hitches ran. I didn't see 4 hitches not once tonight. And you know what else I didn't see tonight?
Yeah.
I didn't see a weak pulling guard pulling to the same side. I didn't see a strong side pulling guard run play to try to, like, what kind of okay, we're here now. Come on, bring it back, Smook. Don't go back. We here. 2023, new team, new OC, and it felt good, y'all. It felt so good to just see football being played by, quality football being called. Defensively, highlight one thing. I love the aggressive nature. We gave up a few plays, but not once did I see guys out of place. There was one play. Kool-Aid kind of got tangled up in downfield. But the thing was, you had guys in place. When guys are in place, if a guy gets tangled up, when you got cloud coverage over top, your safety's paying attention. If he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, it doesn't look as bad. So we had a few plays where guys were kind of slipped up. But when you talk about guys doing their assignment, being confident in doing their assignment, and at the inside linebackers position, oh my God, Trez Marshall, Deontay Lawson, Kendrick Blackshire out there getting his snaps. Quindarius Robinson. He should have had 3 sacks. I think he only got credit for 1, but he should have had 3. Even Braswell off of the edge, man. That rotation of outside linebackers is going to get crazy, because think about it. We didn't even get to see Keon Keeley get out there and get some reps, like, in meaningful playing time. And I feel like if Robinson could get that type of pressure off the edge, I feel like Keeley could do the same and spot play. So it's one of those things where we just have a wealth of riches, man. We have so much to gain from this game. We got a lot of questions. We have a good foundation of where we're sitting at. This defense is filthy. Tim Lovett, shout out to Tim Lovett with the super chat. This defense,
shout out,
healthy,
Tim.
is just filthy.
Yeah.
Man,
he also sent an earlier super chat.
Let me see. Let me go find the other one. My fault, man.
Yeah,
Tim Lovett, need more from the O-line, but I love how he played. Can I attack that before I pass it to you, Jay?
Yes, sir.
I don't think it was necessary to O-line, Tim. And y'all gonna think I'm picking when I say this, but I'm a firm believer. When you show your hand one time, you can't continue to be allowed to show your hand, multiple times. Darian Dalcourt is not a good fit for our offensive line. Darian Dalcourt is not physical through the play. Darian Dalcourt does not know how to keep his base, keep a strong base or get low in his drive and impose his weight. Darian Dalcourt, multiple times, and Coach Sean, oh my God, it was funny when you sent the video. It was like clockwork because I was literally over here telling my wife, I was like, babe, look at this big old boy just allowing this little dude push him around like that. And then the next highlight was when he's trying to get to the second level. You come off the double team and supposed to be climbing to the next level, and you let this 225-pound linebacker just blow you up, put you on your butt, put you back at the offense at the line of scrimmage. So I think it's time to go ahead and give Ferguson his shot at that guard position. And the way Proctor played, he played solid to me. He played very solid to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass to you, Coach Jay, before you go. Hey, this guy's crazy, but we're gonna acknowledge the $10 super chat. Bench Milroe and start hosting. Lash out loud. Just kidding. Yeah, you crazy, man. I seen your comments earlier. You gonna be my favorite fan here soon. I promise you. I promise you, Adam. You're gonna be my favorite fan here soon. But here we go. Yeah. Hey, Donna's talking with some sense. Coach Jay, take it away, brother.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Darren Dalcourt does not fit this offensive scheme. And, another key play I want to kind of acknowledge is the fact how while I think was one of the linebackers was pretty much a bull rush, pretty much just a bull rush set, and literally pushed him all the way back into the pocket to a point where Jalen Milroe was flushed and had to scramble. And that was the one where he had, I think a 25-yard plus gain. And maybe you can make an argument that the running back should have came over. And again, he kind of missed the protection. But overall wise, that Darren Dalcourt, you can't be pushed up like that. He is 320 pounds. He added around 15 pounds of muscle for this very reason, so that he can have a very strong base, so that for the most part, for the technical side of things, if he can just take care of that and he can get stronger for that lower base, overall wise, he should not be getting pushed up like that. The fact that you let a 215 pound linebacker push you all the way to the back of the pocket to the point where our quarterback has to scramble. Now, of course, we're going to make mistakes. Milroe, that's not going to be the only time where Jalen Milroe is going to be flushed out. But that's just one of the examples. That has happened way too many key times in this game. Too many times he was pulling his back. Too many times where he missed assignments where overall wise, for the most part, where the defensive lineman is stunning and he has to pick it up and he kind of missed it, and so we have to try to make up for it. It's too many mistakes, and whether if it's at center like last year, while for the most part it was just a major strength and technical issue, it's the exact same coming into this year. I think Terrence Ferguson needs to be in the game. As soon as we saw Ferguson, I did notice a very similar change. I saw a much stronger guy that was holding his own. Now, of course, there's some things that Ferguson needs to work on because there's a reason why he wasn't starting. But overall, I would rather take my chances with Terrence Ferguson going against a player like a Tavondre Sweat or any of those other big defensive linemen over there, because like I said, Texas has a much better defensive line. They have as far as size goes, they can match up just like ours, and they're going to have a field day, especially from their middle linebackers like Anthony Hill and Jalen Ford coming up and listening to that set. They're going to blow them up. They're going to blow them up. I'm telling you, they are. If I'm them, I would be circling that I would be circling that day. I would be circling that potential player because that is the weak link so far from our.
That's Dalcourt.
It's going to show on film. It's going to show on film.
Yeah. And while we on the offensive line, I see people highlighting, Caden Proctor. I don't think y'all understood what happened on that play, man. Caden Proctor, he was the protection was pass off. The scheme was he's supposed to secure the edge. So the defensive end was lined up over him. It took the step towards him. And as you should, you don't jab, you don't launch back to secure the edge when the defensive end is facing you head up. You have to establish. You have to get some type of contact. So his initial reach, he was reaching the right way, but then the linebacker showed up. So my thing is, I think as a true freshman, for him to be in mid-reach, ready to punch and jab to protect his hole and step, for him to lose his balance and still create enough space, enough time for Jalen Milroe to react, even though he did get beat. That's a good growing point for a true freshman. He played well.
He played well.
Anytime there was straight up man blocking, Caden did not lose a matchup. What was the term I used? The point of attack. Caden was strong at the point of attack. Not once did I see Caden get pushed back into Jalen Milroe's laps. And we saw that a lot from Dalcourt. We even saw Booker get handled one time. It happens, but when it happens consistently, that's when I see a problem. And Dalcourt, I don't see him being an asset, especially like you said, Jay, against a team like Texas. And Coach Sean, the difference, like you were saying earlier, the difference in the interior. Talk about that, man, about how we're going to have to see more from guys like Jaheim Otis.
Let me say this. With this Texas game, we're going to be more challenged on the defensive front. They got a lot of versatile running backs, a lot of running backs that they use. If you notice when I watched them today, and this has really been Coach Sark's, even when he was at Alabama, he loves to challenge the perimeter. He loves to bring motion and challenge the perimeter. You know, if Coach Sark can catch you in man and he know you playing man, he's a wizard, man. He's a wizard. But I want people to think about this. Jalen Milroe was 13 of 18 for 194 yards. He had 3 touchdowns passing. He had another 2 touchdowns rushing. So what that is going to do is going to command that they bring people in the box to stop Jalen. If they had to pick one poison, you better believe they're going to try to stop his feet before they try to stop his arm. And that's going to help us. That's going to open up a lot of things for us, just like this game downfield. Man coverage is just what it is, guys. It's man coverage. I don't care how good your DB is. If I catch Isaiah Bonds coming across the field on a post, I don't care if you got Dion back there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to at least try it. You got to give your wide receivers an opportunity if they're in man coverage. It does not matter how good their secondary is. If Jalen has the time like he had tonight, we're going to pick those guys apart. I don't care who they got in the secondary. I wasn't impressed with their secondary like that. Shout out to Always Believe. I promise you guys, man, Jalen Milroe, and this is what I was saying in the beginning of the season. If we can just get this guy to not turn the ball over, the fact that he poses such a threat running the ball, any team in college football that plays man coverage is susceptible to get beat by that. When you're in phase playing man coverage with your receiver, they teach you to work your receiver. Your receiver. Your back is turned to the quarterback. You understand what I'm saying? If this guy, how did we get beat all these years? Look at the quarterbacks that gave us issues all these years. We play man coverage more than anybody. Look at the quarterbacks that gave us issues, man. So if you don't think for a second that we got something for Texas in the back pocket, I promise you, just like Coach Smook and Coach Jay say, they're going to attack Darian Dalcourt. They're going to attack him, man. They're going to use his gap. They're going to attack him. Dude got knocked in the backfield, and I'm not hating on the young man. The young man, I don't hate on the young man, but just if we're going to be real, let's be real. The young man got knocked off the line of scrimmage constantly. Constantly. When your offensive lineman is getting pushed back in the lap of your play, like you can't even run a solid formation because your right guard is getting knocked in the backfield. You got to try something different, guys. You got to try something different because that stops the running game. That messes up the play. It messes up the pass play. It messes up the throwing lanes, everything. So I think we do need to at least try T. Ferg there to see if he can give us something different. Like Jerick says, I understand he may be struggling in certain things in his game, but let's at least try because Dalcourt, man, I seen him getting up off the ground too much. An offensive lineman not supposed to be on their backside, brothers.
They using more energy to get up off the ground. You use more energy getting up off the ground. And it's go ahead, Jay.
No, I just real quick. One of the things, and this maybe I'm gonna go watch back the Alabama-Texas game again. I don't want to, but I have to do it. But one of the things that gave me a little PTSD was the fact that T'Vondre Sweat owned Darian Dalcourt when he was playing at center. He kept pushing him 3 to 4 or 5 yards in the pocket almost every single passing play in order for and Bryce Young, again, he's one of the best players in Bama history ever as far as manipulating and as far as moving around the pocket. But he had probably one of the hardest times he did against Texas defensive line, mainly because T'Vondre Sweat at nose tackle had to command a double team. The fact that he was pushing a guy like Dalcourt and just owning him off the line of scrimmage, that's the concern here. And there was a comment a little earlier from one of the comments from Seth Martin saying that Texas defensive line won't do anything. Well, tell that to Texas last year because Texas defensive line owned them. And one of the reasons why their secondary had a lot of success was because they started to come up. As soon as they started to come up and jam the receivers because they could not get off the press they couldn't really get off the press quick enough in order for Texas defense, their entire front to literally get in there and pressure Bryce Young because our offensive line just couldn't hold. We weren't strong enough, hence why we had to get a lot bigger because we got to try to hold our own here. So we're trying not to eliminate the weak links. We're not trying to have a situation where we're having a Alfred Collins or a Byron Murphy or another version of T'Vondre Sweat owning Darian Dalcourt, and Seth McLaughlin has to do a lot of the heavy work. We're not trying to have that situation again.
And I know we want to try to wait until Kyle gets on here to dive into what next week looks like. But I'm right there with you guys. My thing is, I feel like Tommy Rees can only do so much to hide weaknesses when you talking about play calling and scheme. You saw he tried to do that tonight by running directly behind Dalcourt, but it's hard to do that when you're getting pushed. You're getting pushed. Most of the time, you can count on a guy to create contact, a big guy to create contact and kind of lay on a guy, give you that half second and create a good look for your back. But it's kind of hard to put that weight on your right tackle and your center to clean up everything around that just because this guy. So why are we giving that? I think, like I said, guys, it's a couple guys we're going to see get thrown out there in the fire, and it's going to be their time to make or break it. And I think Jermaine Burton was one of those guys, and he showed his value tonight. And Darian Dalcourt on the offense side was another guy. He showed what he's been showing since he's been out there. And the thing is, like we said the other night, guys, we had high hopes for Dalcourt getting moved to guard because, you know, when he came in as a freshman, or was that sophomore or freshman year, whichever year he had to come in off the bench against Georgia in the SEC championship, I think it was. And he came in and played solid. I mean, the kid played solid his first year, and then we didn't hear anything else from him. Same thing that happened with DJ Dale. I don't think we owe Dalcourt anything, especially with a guy like Ferguson. He's put in the work. He made his mistakes. He's done the weight room. He's showing the leadership. How do you go from naming this guy playing potentially as a starter to him not getting a chance tonight against Middle Tennessee State? And the only answer I have to that is you already know what you have in him. So you let Dalcourt show that he's not ready, or you let Dalcourt lose the job. So next week, I do expect to see Ferg starting against Texas. And I don't think it's by like a competition that happens during the week. I think this was predetermined. If Dalcourt goes out there and loses the job, he loses the job. And I feel like a lot of guys were in that position. He just was one that didn't stand up for the occasion. The Inquisitive Prince, shout out to you for the $1.99 for the super chat. I thought I was the only one seeing Dalcourt get bullied. No, you didn't. And I wish
Inquisitive Prince.
I wish my boy Sean could, you know what? I do have the video. We might be able to upload it here while we on the show. But he in his coach mode. You know, I don't. Was you watching on the projector screen, bro?
Listen, if my boy Anthony in the chat, he know I rant to him all the time, every week. I have to rant, man. You fans have to pardon me. You know, I'm one of those fans. I have to rant. I talk to the TV as I'm watching the game. I'm one of those kind of fans. So I'm sending videos to my partners on things that I see that I'm upset with. And shout out to George Scott, man. George Scott has made some great comments about the tight ends. The tight ends will have a big game next week. Those are awesome comments. I agree 1,000%. You know, Amari the Black needs to be more involved. But think about it, guys. This was Jalen's really second start. So it's going to get better. It's going to get better, man. And remember, his legs will force you to play him different than you play every other quarterback. That guy will force you. You're going to have to account for him. You're going to have to count for his legs. So I'm really excited about that. I think we need to run a little bit more up-tempo with Texas, too. I think we need to speed it up just a little bit on the offensive side of the ball between whistles. You know what I mean? Try to catch those guys in some weird formations defensively, trying to catch them off guard. Even if we have to be in 12 personnel. 12 personnel, 13 personnel, to me, is outstanding for us with the tight ends that we have, with the skill set of Jalen Milroe. I think that'll be great, man. So, yeah, I'm a video sender. I get frustrated with certain stuff, so I have to send a video and point out things that I find. You know what I mean? So, you know, just pardon me, man. I get frustrated with certain stuff.
Look, at least it makes sense. At least it makes sense when you talking about what's happening, because people will sit there and get mad at the pass that, you know, wasn't complete to Isaiah Bonds. He was overthrown. No. When I say that was a dot, and if you go to Twitter, people were literally trashing Jalen Milroe like that was his fault when it was clearly a pass interference. The ref called it. Isaiah Bonds had 2 or 3 steps on the guy, you know, like
grabbed him easy.
He had to. I would have grabbed him too.
Yes,
the way he got routed up, you're not about to do that to me.
He was beat.
No, not on national television. Maybe if we was on some, like, you know, secondary cape, but nah. But man, it was good to see Milroe's confidence in the deep pass. That's why I want to jump to. You know, his confidence tonight was just immaculate. And that's one thing that everybody admired about Bryce. I didn't see Milroe shaking on any negative play. In his passing game, the ability to just progress through his reads, he was allowing his helmet to show what reads he was looking at. You know, he didn't get locked in on just one guy. You know, he didn't get locked in on one read. His quick reads were quick reads. It was so many improvements, small improvements. His footwork. Y'all heard the announcers just continue to talk about, you know, checking his footwork, making sure his feet were set and planted when he was, you know, making releases. I don't think y'all realize how strong of an arm and the accuracy that Jalen Milroe displayed tonight. The opposite hash throws were so crazy to see. I don't think we, because of how strong his arm is, I don't think we realized what he was doing tonight. You know, the 10 and 12 yard outs that he completed, those were from, you know, middle of the field to the sideline. You know, guys catching the ball 3-4 yards off the sideline with space to turn upfield. And so, you know, it's one of those things where I'm excited to see this guy continue to grow. And like I said, we were going to see a different quarterback, a different guy with a competent offensive coordinator. Any, not even competent, any coordinator that knows athletes and knows how to, you know, get a guy to be a star. You know, anybody that can recognize talent would have took Jalen Milroe last year against Texas A&M and probably ran the score up, you know, because you don't sit there and put a guy like that in the box and tell him to slow down and try to read. You give him options, tell him those is options. If they're not there, use what you've been blessed with. And that's what happened tonight. Milroe didn't force. I don't remember him forcing any run. I don't remember him. He did take his eyes out, you know, from downfield quick a couple times with checkdowns, but they were consistent checkdowns. They were positive checkdowns. So you live with that and you allow him to continue to grow at a rate that's going to be feasible for the team as far as our overall growth and success. Coach Jay, I'm gonna send it to you. What's something that you think on the defensive side that we can highlight in the secondary that we saw drastic change from last year?
I talked about this a little bit earlier, man, but how fast, you know, especially on those quick intermediate routes, how fast we were coming up and wrapping up and making tackles. I mean, gang tackles, as far as just the ability to be physical and to just absolutely manhandle them on the line of scrimmage. That's something that how many times have we been begging last year for them to do for them to do? I mean, against Mississippi State, that was like the only team, ironically, running an air raid. That was the only team that we were able to have a lot of success in that. And maybe against Texas A&M for like a little bit, but we weren't doing it consistently. Only Eli Ricks was the one that was really doing that. But I mean, I was really impressed with that. Caleb Downs, first of all, how big that dude is, but again, how physical he was able to be, especially at the line, especially at the point of the attack. Terry and Arnold making a lot of improvements as far as jamming defenders and sticking with them. Kool-Aid, how fluid his movement and how fluid and how well he can flip his hips and stay with the defender in certain occasions. It was way more. These players are way more comfortable, and I think that's a testament to Kevin Steele, and I think that's a testament to Steele and Robinson. I think that's for the most part a testament. You know, for the most part, if you put these players in comfortable situations, if you can just simplify the defense, don't give them too much, like we had to work with a certain defensive coordinator who I will not name, but but for the most part, just give them the simple things, and they're going to go out there and perform because these are 4- and 5-star players for a reason. And I feel like for the most part, we did a really, really good job of dictating the game, dictating the pace on the defensive side of the ball. And like I said before, a lot of those third down stops came because of what our secondary was able to do, controlling and dictating the pace. So overall wise, man, I loved what our secondary was able to do. I talked about it before with Jalen Key and Kool-Aid and Terry and Arnold. I was extremely impressed with how he was able to play tonight. But overall wise, the physicality of the secondary is something that we definitely need. We definitely need that going against a Texas team that's much bigger than Middle Tennessee. So love what I saw tonight from the secondary.
And before we continue, man, we want to acknowledge this. Another super chat from our follower, our supporter, the inquisitive Prince, that 199 super chat. And he has a question for the panel. And we're gonna hip fire this. We're gonna do 30 seconds apiece. We're gonna hip fire. We're gonna give a yes or no answer on why we think so. Is Dalcourt another Chris Owens? Coach Sean, take it away, my guy.
No, I can't say he's another Chris Owens right now. You know, he's played. Obviously, Chris Owens was a guard, but he played tackle, short arms. That's one reason he struggled. I can't say he's a Chris Owens just yet. You know, the book is still out. He didn't have a great game. I think the book is still out. We should be able to tell once he's a few games in, and we'll definitely have an answer for you to that one then.
All right, 30 seconds. Beep. Go ahead, Coach Jay.
Chris Owens at least held his own during that 2020 year. At least he held his own. Darian Dalcourt was on a good offensive line today and got blown up the majority of the plays. So I think it's actually a little worse. Might just be a little worse than Chris Owens.
Hey, I'm gonna keep it 100, guys. Darian Dalcourt is not an Alabama offensive lineman. He'll be good somewhere else. TCU, Oregon, somewhere where guys just, but even then, because he struggled with Middle Tennessee State guys, but I wouldn't say he was a Chris Owens. Chris Owens at least has some grit, has some physicality about him. Chris Owens missed assignments because he was too aggressive. Chris Owens, he was too aggressive. He didn't have the thinking part down. That's what Chris Owens was like. And to Sean's fact, physically, he wasn't your traditional size guard when you talk about the measurables. So like Jay said, at least Chris Owens held his own. Dalcourt is not what we need for the type of offense we want to establish. So that's our answer for that super chat. Appreciate the super chat there, the Inquisitive Prince. If you all continue to donate and have questions, we will continue to acknowledge those questions throughout the show. The super chats do get acknowledged. We do have another super chat here. Jonathan Bowden. Hey, guys, I'm super excited about Jalen Key. That dude is a baller. And penalties, if we can keep this discipline play up, I'm super excited.
Oh my gosh,
man! You know what? The fact that the play on the ball in the air from the defensive backs was so awesome. And mind you, this quarterback Vadiata, he's not a rookie. He's not a freshman. He has experience. He gave them a lot of good 50-50 balls, and even plays like the early one where Malachi Moore got beat on the back shoulder. He was there.
He was not beat on arm as well too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and it was a lot of those ticky-tack things. I feel like we're just going to continue to grow. Any response to that last super chat right there, guys? Anyone? Well,
he made a point. He made a point with the penalties. We had one penalty the entire game.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
One. I'm gonna repeat this one more time, chat. We had one.
Hold on. Let me say it for him one more time, brother.
We had one penalty the entire game.
Tu habla español because I don't think they understand. Uno, penatolias.
We were one of the worst teams in the nation as far as giving up penalties. I think we were either second or third worst in penalties, and we had one. So that just goes to show you that we're buying into what Nick Saban and into what the rest of these coaches are really trying to give us. That's crazy that we gave up one penalty. Again, who knows? Maybe that is the fault of a defensive coordinator who will not be known, or I will not be named. Maybe.
Man, you know what? And tonight's turn and mentality, I think we all were more not concerned, but wanted to see the mentality be displayed on the field. And I saw accountability. Caleb Downs checked Key. The play before Key got the interception, when they gave up the little pass in the middle, and that was Key's assignment. Caleb Downs looked back at Key, and you saw the exchange. And Key looked at him and said, "My bad, I got you." When I seen that, I knew then that it wasn't a thing of, he a senior. This guy, Caleb, knows what he's talking about. These guys on this defense know what they're talking about. They're accountable. They're holding themselves accountable. So it didn't take him getting a slap on the butt and, God pull him to. It was literally a communication, and literally the next play, Jalen Key, that dude sneaky. I don't understand. If you don't understand football, you don't understand the extravagance in that, how exciting that play was to watch him set that interception up. It was like he did his film work. He saw the route. He baited the quarterback into looking into the route he wanted. And at the last second, he jumped back on his assignment to, bait that play. I love it, man. Shout out again to Booker's rebirth. No depth chart was about the defense, no drop off. I'm not understanding, but no depth chart was about the defense.
And coach, I'll jump here real quick. I'll say this. Got to apologize. We had 2 penalties. We had dose. We had dose penalties because I forgot the one play. Yeah, we had. But that's. I mean, look, hey, that's better than 10.
One more. It don't matter.
One more. That's better than 12 or 13 that we average.
Look, we got to give some love. Hold on, man. We got to give some love to Deontay Lawson. My man was all over the field, brother. That's a real middle linebacker. Thumping, filling, sideline to sideline. He wasn't closing his eyes tackling. He wasn't missing tackles left and right. You got to give some love to the middle linebacker. He made the calls. He is the signal caller for the defense. Deontay Lawson, man, shout out to you, brother.
You know what? If you're going to give it to Deontay Lawson, you got to give it to the guy highlighted earlier, and that's Trez Marshall. Trez Marshall did.
And I've been on Trez. I'm been on Trez.
You know it. And you actually put me on Trez to the point where I said we have more so of like instead of just having 2, like having that Reuben Foster and who was next to him? Reggie
Ragland.
Instead of having that combination in 2 players, we have that combination divided amongst 4 inside linebackers right now.
Yeah.
Where they all do something special, but they do the main thing consistent. Physicality, and they know their assignment. That's what I've seen. We didn't get to see Campbell tonight, but I saw Blackshire.
Hey, shout out to Believe and Achieve It. Believe it, achieve it. He, they're right. Give some love to Blackshire too. Kendrick, he played well as well. He came in, thumped sideline to sideline, was physical, made a big play. Man, shout out to Bettina E, my sweetie. See that, love that. Kendrick came in and played extremely well, man. He came in and played very, very well. It's kind of like Coach Smook said, we have a multitude of middle linebackers who can play that position. I'm just ecstatic about that, brother. I cannot sit here and tell you Jahad Campbell as well. When that young man gets back, we are going to have a multitude of linebackers who can actually come in. And what I like about it, it's a role for each one of them. They each one have a role. You see, we got in the red zone, they changed them. Quindarius Robinson, who play on the outside. Our linebacker room, outside and inside, is absolutely bananas, man. You know what I mean? Let me say this real quick, too. I do want to see our offensive line put a hat on the hat a little bit better. I understand it's just their first game. So, our offensive line is a chemistry type group. The more they play together, the better they'll be. But I do want to see us get a hat on a hat. This next game, for when we run the ball between the tackles, I would love to see us get a hat on a hat for longer. I would love to see us drive block for longer. I would love to see us run more plays off tackle. Those are the things that open up the big plays downfield. I think Jalen and his skill set is going to help us when the running game kind of subsides. So for me, I want to see the offensive line get back to being a little more physical. I think we kind of gave up on the run at times. I love to see us in 3rd and shorts, not 3rd and 7s and 3rd and 8s. We get to 3rd and 2s and 3rd and 3s. I'm totally comfortable with that. So long as the offensive line stays physical, gets a little more consistent with a hat on a hat, I think I'll be just fine with that play.
Bama Bob asking who our MVPs for tonight. We're going to give them to y'all at the end of the show, man. As a matter of fact, here in a few minutes, I'm going to post a poll for y'all to go ahead and start naming those in the chat. But before we get on to that, before we move on to the next subject, what do you see different from the OC and DC as far as player preparedness from last year? The Inquisitive Prince, again, with the $4.99 super chat. Yo, Inquisitive Prince, we really appreciate your support. All of you, everybody that's donating and sending those super chats, we truly appreciate you for supporting Bama football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson and supporting the Coaches podcast. We appreciate y'all for real. I guess I'll jump on this one first because I'm gonna answer it quick. Do I see a difference night and day? And when I say night and day, it started in the locker room, Sean. It started in the warm-ups. A difference. It on the sideline at kickoff. Did you see the energy on the sideline? Did you see Coach Roach with his defensive alignment down there, bumping? I mean, them boys was hyped. Gilbert Arenas on the sideline.
Enthusiasm.
Did you see GA on the sideline talking to Milroe, getting them boys, man, like, bro. And Milroe and his demeanor, man, was great. So yeah, night and day. Coach J, you see a difference?
Absolutely, I see a difference. Again, it's a cultural difference. It's something that we've been talking about for a long time. Trying to bring back the murder ball mentality. Trying to, overall wise, you want to talk about continuity. How some people would say that might have been an issue last year. Definitely wasn't an issue what we saw today. And then, like I said before, just on the field, how easy it was for these, as far as preparation and how simplified, honestly, the plays were. Did not give any of these players too much hard work. Wasn't for the most part overcomplicated like Bill O'Brien or Pete Golding. It was just simple, very simple formations. Very, for the most part, I thought the best thing was the use of our personnel, putting them in the right spots, putting them in the right situations, and all they have to do is simply execute, and boom, we can win the rep. It was just it's a night and day difference, honestly, compared to what we've seen the last couple years, honestly.
Okay, and Sean, Coach Sean.
For me, it was completely night and day as well. Obviously, man, defense. You know me. That defense we ran last year with that drop 8 and rush 3.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me on my soapbox tonight with that. You understand what I'm saying? Of course, it was totally different. We actually attacked tonight. We actually came and got the quarterback tonight. We actually played base defense. We actually pattern matched on 3rd and long. We done things that Bama usually do tonight. Offensively, we took what they gave. We took what they gave. We didn't just pull these ridiculous plays out of the bag, going 5 wide on the 3-yard line. We didn't do none of that ridiculous stuff we did last year. It was power football at time when it was time to play power football. It was spread you out. Jalen Milroe make something happen when it was time for Jalen Milroe to make something happen. So I totally agree. It was completely different from last year. We actually had 2 competent coordinators that understand college ball. So I was very satisfied with that. This is college ball, not the NFL.
Hey, name check in the chat. I meant Javier Arenas, BMNCC. You know what I meant. Don't be playing with me. I'm excited about how we played tonight. Don't do me. But but hey, Roll Tide said something that me and Jay, we got into our Discord chat in the middle of the game, just testing some things out. And it's funny that Roll Tide said is because that was the first thing I said after the Milroe completion on the deep out. The flick of the wrist, the effortless release, the spin and the power that comes out behind it reminds me so much of a Vick ball. The follow through and the wound up is not necessarily Vick like, because Vick's whole release was just super quick, but the similarities of how that ball comes out is definitely similar. And somebody else said it earlier, we sitting on a Lamar Jackson 2.0 with Tommy Reese guiding this guy, man. And I'm excited to see it. Another super chat.
Facts, Ephraim Davis.
Lawson is much better than number 10. I ain't gonna say that just yet, man. When you say 10, you talking about 10 from last year, or you talking about the legendary 10? Because when you say 10,
you know what 10 he's talking about.
Yeah, I think
when I say I don't even acknowledge last year, I don't acknowledge him. I forgot he was that number 10. He didn't deserve it. When we say 10 and you talking about Bama linebackers, I'm thinking about Reuben Foster. Every time, I don't care. That's every time you talk about number 10 on the defense, I'm thinking Reuben Foster. But 32 definitely looked like the next coming of not necessarily Reuben, but I see him even as a Evans. Y'all remember how Rashawn Evans came in and was just do it all back, man? Like, I feel like that's what he does. The guy plays assignment football. Lawson played assignment football to the T tonight.
Deontay Lawson to me looked like Dylan Moses before he got hurt.
Before the injury. Yes, sir. Yeah. I said that last year.
It's a fact.
Another super chat from our guy Adam. What are you saying? Do you think our D-line is good enough to get pressure on Ewers?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Can we please hold off on that until Kyle comes on?
It's a good question.
Can we please hold on? That's a great question. Hey, Coach Jay, Coach Sean, let's make sure we start this one and keep it off to the side so we can come back to it. I really think that's one that we're going to jump soon as Kyle gets on and gives us the post-game analysis and breakdown from the player interviews, and Coach Saban. We'll get right into next week Texas talk, but we won't get too far into it because y'all know tomorrow night we got Monday night we got Monday Night QB with us three, me, Coach Sean, and Coach Jay. So we don't want to drop too many bombs. We don't want to drop too much insight. But I think a lot of the fan base has really, really been put on hush mode when it comes to Jalen Milroe. Like for real, like
Not Coach Sean.
You know what I'm saying? And because they don't know football, people will be satisfied with Jalen Milroe. You know what I'm saying? With what happened tonight. And are we satisfied? No. I'm glad to see the progression. This is the progression you're supposed to have as your third year in the program. No matter who was the coordinator, you're supposed to have this sense of college, knowing how to play college football. You got that start under your belt last year in that hostile territory. You came out with the dub. You got some more garbage time games after that. Like, you have enough snaps and enough field time, enough game field to go out here and show that you can progress now. This is your year. This base right here is a good base to start with. You go back to Blake Sims days, this was similar base. I think we're more efficient on the defensive side to support the type of progression we want to see with Milroe. And I think we're more equipped offensively around him to help him progress faster. Coach Sean, you got something to say? As we got Kyle Henderson loading up. He's going to let us know when he's ready. So go ahead, Coach Sean.
I'm just excited. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied, man. That's the best thing, the best way I can put it. What I expected to see tonight checked all the boxes. The enthusiasm, the scheme, the coaching prowess, the teammate interaction, the offensive firepower, the defensive aggressiveness. Everything that I wanted to see, I'm satisfied with tonight. The young guys came in. The second group came in, played well. I'm just, all my boxes are checked, man. All my boxes are checked of everything I wanted to see.
All right. Hey, Kyle, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me in the back. Okay. All right, everybody. So we got Kyle Henderson coming in, and we're going to bring him on. He's going to give you the post-game analysis. Everybody in the chat, let's get some fire in the chat. Make sure we running those likes up. Let's get some fire in the chat. Let's get some RTRs in the chat. Roll Tide. Everybody here, Kyle Henderson.
Yo, what's up, fam? How's everybody doing? Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. We got to change that banner up top. It's not Monday Night Quarterback. I'm coming to you from Bryant-Denny Stadium after Alabama defeats Middle Tennessee. Coach Smook, if you want to do like a side-by-side, I appreciate talking to you. Tonight, this is what I personally learned. I think that, number one, Jalen Milroe shined. And I think when you have a quarterback that comes in his big first start for the first season, you want to see a couple different things. And one of the things that really stood out to me was the fact that Jalen Milroe, that first play, right, where his first score, where the ball is, loose from, the center and he has to make a play on his own. That's the playmaking ability that we want to see from an individual, right? And I tweeted, I was like, that is the type of quarterback that you want out on the field. So we know he has that playmaking ability, but then what we did see from him throughout the game was a good deep ball. And I think that's everybody, once they saw him start to hit on those deep balls, they started to feel a little bit more comfortable as Jalen Milroe being the quarterback, because we all know that he can run. We all know that he is a playmaker, but we wanted to see that deep ball. And I think that he displayed that tonight. I think that he did a really good job. And look, we can't predict the future. Just like Coach Saban said in the press conference, by the way, I just dropped that. We can't predict what he's going to do in the future. But we did see tonight some positive things from Jalen Milroe in terms of the deep ball. Now, I just loaded Jalen Milroe's interview from after the game. You can watch that right here on our YouTube channel. And he did say, he's like, I got a couple Texas fans that are family because he is from Texas. So he was all smiles. And he said, look, I have to improve in all aspects of my game. He said that tonight coming out, he got notified that he was going to be the starter earlier this week. And he came out and just played. And I think he does have a lot to improve on. I think there were some throws, honestly, that would have been taken to the house if he was playing a team with faster DBs. But I think as he got more comfortable with the offense, he started to display that big arm that he has, and he put the ball in the money. Let's face it, a couple times. I mean, he rails out a really good opening game performance, and I was really happy for him because this is a guy, you're taking over for the guy who went number one in the NFL draft, right? So think about the shoes that you have to fulfill. And you have all these statues over here. Tua, Bryce, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, all those guys are in the NFL, and you're coming starting when nobody wants you to be the starter. There's a large part of Alabama that was nervous about him starting as the quarterback. I think that a large percentage of those people feel a little bit better. He came in, and I thought he did a good job tonight. So I know you guys wrapping it up, Coach Smook, in the post game and talking about it. So you can watch that interview right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I thought, so a couple things from the injury standpoint. Jalen Key and Malachi Moore, those guys are injured. And Coach Saban didn't have an injury report on those guys specifically just yet. I think we'll learn more maybe tomorrow or during his Monday press conference. So we got something happened. This is live. Look, you cannot
Raw and
go on the
uncut,
field.
baby.
You cannot go on the field. They will snipe you.
Yeah.
So I think from the injury standpoint, those are the two guys that got banged up. We did catch up with Kool-Aid after. I know he took a big pop on that punt return where his helmet flew off. Surprisingly, the guy was not called for targeting, but Kool-Aid is okay. We did talk to him. I'm going to load an interview with him after the game. I thought the defense, they tackled well in open space. I thought Dallas Turner got some good pressure. I thought Chris Broswell got some good pressure. Q Robinson, Quindarius Robinson is a player, for real. I really like his game. We've been talking about him all fall camp, and I thought he did a really good job. It was good to see Jalen Key with that interception. I thought overall the defense did really good up front. There was a couple things that I'd like to maybe see improved. And then with that offensive line, this is what I want to hear from you inside the comment box. When we do the rewatch on the game, how do you guys feel that Darian Dalcourt was moving? And how do you guys feel that J.C. Latham was moving? Look, I'm a big fan of J.C. Latham, and I have to rewatch the game. I had YouTube TV going, and I'm at the game, obviously. I felt at times he was just a little bit slow on the edge, and I'm curious to see how he's going to do against Texas. And I know you guys watched Texas today. I personally didn't watch the game against Rice, so I want to go back and see how Texas is doing. But Coach Saban said, look, no disrespect to Middle Tennessee, but this is a different caliber that we're going to have to go against in week 2, rightfully so. Coach knows it. And Coach's demeanor was good. He said, kind of things you expected him to see. Let me touch on the running game real quick. I thought Roydell at times looked like he was shot out of a cannon. Jace, very good. And then how about Justice Haynes towards the back end, man? It's so exciting to see Jace McClellan with the football in hand. So overall, Alabama, they don't escape with the victory. They dominated today, put together 4 quarters of play, and turning the page into, a really good Texas team. And I can't wait for Texas too. What else, Coach Smook? You got any questions for me?
Hey, Kyle, before you go, you got to give us your offensive MVP, your defensive MVP. Mm-hmm. And then let's get the coach of the week. Let's get the coach of the week just to give a little spin on some things.
All right, cool. Offensive MVP, no doubt about it, was Jalen Milroe. I think Jalen Milroe, what he displayed today, in terms of not only his running abilities, because we know he can run the football, but I think in terms of passing, his deep ball, I thought it was good. I want to see what Pro Football Focus does grade him out. We'll have those grades posted on Sunday. His deep ball, I was really pleased to see his deep ball. Really good interview talking about, his progress. You can watch that, as I said, on Bama Football on YouTube right here. Defensive MVP, man, that's a good one. I'm gonna probably go with Jalen Key. To be honest, I thought he was in a lot of different places. He did have the interception. I thought that they did get heat on the quarterback, and it was hard to get heat on Middle Tennessee because they got the football out so quickly, right? They were able to dump it out to the outside. They weren't going to go for big, deep shots. Maybe a couple times they did, but it's hard to get to a team like that gets the football out so quick in the air raid style. But, yeah, maybe Jalen Key. I saw him in a bunch of tackles and with the pick, and I hope he's okay because I think he's very vital to this defense. Coach of the week, that's a good one. Should we just go with the GOAT?
Right.
The GOAT, it's always the coach of the week. Maybe I'll have to circle back on that one. Maybe Robert Gillespie working with those running backs, because I think that Robert Gillespie is a guy we really haven't talked a lot about, but he's got that jar full of running backs that he can reach in. Jace looked good. The only thing I do have to criticize on Jam Miller was the one quarterback sack they had. It was because of misprotection on Jam Miller. He didn't feel on the linebacker, and they were able to get to Jalen Milroe. Probably rare for him, but as we've talked about, you're going to get a different caliber this coming Saturday against Texas. Like what I saw today, look, this wasn't a perfect game. I think Jalen Milroe has a lot to improve. And in the times that we did see Tyler Buckner, he has some athleticism. How about him getting, the snap as the number 2 quarterback ahead of Ty Simpson? I think that is very, very noteworthy. And Tyler Buckner, we knew he's athletic, but he did run for a touchdown as well, missed on a couple of deep balls. I do want to give some credit to Amari Niblack. I think he's definitely going to be a weapon. We've been talking about him for a long time. So finally, those tight ends that can be split out just from the Y to the outside. Look, Amari Niblack, I think he's due for a really big year. Isaiah Vaughn is fast. And Ja'Cory Brooks it looks like he was suspended of some sort. That's why he didn't play in the first half, but he came out, played in the second half. Coach Saban was like, I know you guys are obsessed with the depth chart and all this stuff. He's like, well, I ain't going to tell you anything about his suspension or if it was a suspension. But clearly he didn't play the first two. Jermaine Burton got a touchdown. His stock is starting to increase. I know that. So a lot of positives to take away. Was not a perfect game. Lot to improve on. Texas is coming. This team is beatable. Alabama's beatable. This is not, they are not where they need to be right now. That's okay. You still want to lay in the weeds. You still want people chirping and saying that this isn't a complete team. They're not just yet, but they do have the components. We saw that tonight. So, really excited, man. And look, Coach, where else would you want to be, man?
Beautiful, man. I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Man,
I'm in here. I'm jealous, man.
How's the live chat? Is everybody doing well?
Man, the chat is going crazy. Chat, right. y'all show Kyle some love, man. Make sure we running these likes up. Put some fire emojis in the chat, man. Like he bring y'all that raw, uncut content from the stadium grounds. You got people in the background about to get jacked up back there for walking on the grass. You can't be messing up the good juju for the season. But Kyle, we appreciate you, man. Thank you for the insight, man. And once again, I know Sean and Jay are backstage. We definitely appreciate you for the platform, man, and providing this for us, man. We appreciate you, man. And if you don't have nothing else for you, man, we're going to end the show for you, man.
I appreciate you guys. Hey, you know what? So here's what I'm going to do. I think what time is it out there? It's about to be 11, right?
Right.
So what we're going to do, you guys end the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go home. We're going to digest this. I'm going to come back tomorrow in the morning, have my call-in show from 10 probably to 12, and then again in the evening time as we put this game together, digest it a little bit more. I'll take your calls, and then at evening time, you already know what we're talking about. We'll be talking about the Texas-Alabama matchup.
Yes, sir.
Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, man. Coach Smook, thank you. Coach Jerick, thank you. Coach Sean, thank you. To everybody in the Bama Football on YouTube family, thank you. I really appreciate you guys believing in me, believing in the product. There's a lot that goes into it, and clearly I can't do it by myself. So I'm really appreciative of your guys' support. And coming to you from beautiful Bryant-Denny Stadium, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube.
All right, brother. Take care. Roll Tide, man.
Roll Tide to you.
Let's get my brothers back in. What's up, fellas? We back in here?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it, baby. Hey, look, man. Look, Kyle got me jealous, man. I'm down. I'm looking at the stadium behind him. I'm just like,
that looks beautiful.
Like I want to ask him questions. I'm just like, the grass just looks so green and torn up now, and just
torn up.
I bet it smelled musty out there a little bit, like a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That football musty.
That liquor, man.
It's something, man. It's something about being out there in that aroma, man. But to get back on it, man, let's attack a few things that he acknowledged that was brought to our attention. First, big. We always talk about, Alabama, how successful we could be as a team on both sides of the ball, but a big thing that hinders that is injuries. So 2 big key injuries that are confirmed based off of Kyle's reports, Jalen Key and Malachi Moore, 2 key positions in the secondary. And we were bragging about how much depth and talent we have at that position, but I don't want to see those guys thrown into the fire week 2 up against Texas. Even though I was confident after seeing what Texas put out against Rice, them having to open up their playbook and having to do some things in that first half to get going and get established. I think we match up a lot better with the Kevin Steele's defensive play calling scheme, but to have 2 guys like that out, that's big. First reactions from those injuries, starting off with Coach Sean. Take it away, brother.
I mean, for those 2 guys to be out going against Texas, who's definitely going to try to throw it around the yard, who's definitely going to go up tempo, it's huge, man. That is absolutely huge. But I will say this: if the guys are after the medical come in and we destined that they missed the game, if we can get the younger guys in there quick to get some reps, I'll be okay. I'll be perfectly fine with it. We got the core of the defense back. Obviously those guys are huge losses, but if these guys can get in practice early and take the reps, I don't think we miss a beat. I don't think we'll miss a beat at all.
Okay. Coach Jay, talk to us.
Well, and again, I'm praying that hopefully that those two guys won't be missing a huge, extended amount of time. But if they do,
Right.
then next man up. I mean,
Yeah.
Christian
Yeah.
Story,
Yes.
Jake Pope, a lot of those guys. I mean, it's their time. It's your time to step up and kind of showcase exactly what you have. It's a big opportunity. So, again, it would definitely stink because Jalen Key had a really good game. We all know how important Malachi Moore is, especially because he's playing that natural role that especially during that freshman year, the ability that we know he can definitely display. But next man up mentality is nothing you can really kind of do about it. We're going to be going against a very, very tough Texas squadron. We all know what Steve Sarkisian is going to do, especially when it comes to confusing the secondary and really kind of getting the communication off. Obviously, missing two key starters that knows this defense pretty well is going to hurt. But this is why you have depth. You got to prepare for situations like this, and it's always next man up mentality if you're Nick Saban.
Okay, and I'm going to go this route with it. The fact that you're gonna have, and I think when we say young guys, I think people will automatically think about freshmen, but you're talking about guys that just don't have reps on field. But you got guys that have been in this system, this Coach Saban defensive system scheme for past 3 years, and for whatever reason, whether guys just come in and are just more talented and just grasp the concept better, and just perform better. And defense is one of those things. If you can show the coach early that you can do your assignment all the time as an athlete, you're usually going to find yourself in that first group rotation as a defender, as a defensive player. I don't care what level you play it on the defensive side. If you get in there, you can show that you can do your job all the time, consistently all the time. I think that's what ended up happening, where the first lineup of our secondary. Now you're talking about Smitty and possibly Jalen Key, not Smitty, but Malachi Moore, Jalen Key, and Smitty was already out today. So that's 3 experienced guys, that you're having to replace. But you also have experienced guys in Trey Amos, Terry Arnold, and I honestly believe you throw Christian Story over top, who's your most experienced next up safety in that room. You don't want to put Hubbard out there yet. You don't want to put Tony Mitchell out there yet in that situation. Him and Caleb Downs against Texas, Steve Sarkisian coached offense. You don't want to put 2 young guys like that up there. So yeah, put Story out there, and allow Trey Amos and Terry Arnold to work out that star and that left corner spot, or that right corner spot, that boundary corner, and kind of let them interchange. And you still have your 4th or 5th safety in Pope that can come out and play the dime corner or the dime safety. You can have not Hurley, but Kite came out on the field early and played solid. I saw Earl Little. We saw Earl Little get beat on the not necessarily get beat, but he hesitated to jump the rub on the goal line score play. That the only and that's to be expected. If that play was done at 8 yards off the goal line, Earl Little's there to make the tackle. He's there to be there. But it's small things like that where guys going to need reps, and like you said, Sean, they get into practice early. We could see these guys be successful if they have to step up.
Right.
Let's get into it. Let's acknowledge a few more comments. Then we're going to pick our MVPs, and then we're going to get out of here, man. All right, let's see. I'm not worried. Let's see. You've been on it tonight, man. Let's talk to Believe It or Achieve It. I'm not worried about Key because I believe that Story can step in and we won't lose a step. More, on the other hand, means Earl Little has to step in, and I don't think he's quite ready yet. Coach Sean, give your initial reaction to this comment.
That may be true. But it's nothing practice won't fix. It's nothing practice won't fix, man. These guys are not far off from each other. You get them in the game quick. You get them in there, get the reps, get the first team reps. They'll be just fine. And let me say this too. I saw a couple of comments where people was like, let's not overreact and things of that nature. I even heard Kyle. But I got to say, man, I'm not with you on this one. You know what I mean? I know how it is to come out and play a college game, your first game. I saw Texas today. I saw Georgia. I saw Ohio State. I saw Tennessee, and I saw TCU. And we look just as good as anybody in the country. If you going by one game, Jalen Milroe had a great game. Sure, he can get better. Sure. But I won't sit here and diss them and act like we so far off. I seen everybody in the country play today. all besides LSU and Florida State. And we right there with anybody you want to put us up against right now. So I give kudos to our offense. I give kudos to what we done today. I give kudos to what our defense done today. And I'm ecstatic about where we look for one game, which that's what all of us have to go by. One game. Again, I've seen everybody play mediocre opponents. I've seen some teams play better opponents. But I'm happy with where we're at. Trust me, after that Tennessee game last year, I'm happy with where we're at after one opponent.
Oh, yeah. Coach J.
Man,
Defense,
listen.
man. Holler at
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, I'm listen, as long as we can put pressure on the quarterback, I have no worry on our secondary at all. And that's pretty much that's with, you can have Darrell Revis and Antonio Cromartie, and you can literally have the best secondary of all time. You put Deion Sanders back there, right? If you don't have key guys that can get to the quarterback, doesn't matter who's back there. You're going to get torn up. So it's all about, can we establish pressure? And I think based off what we saw today, running a bunch of base sets, running a bunch of simplified sets, putting pressure, rushing 4 or 5 guys, getting to the quarterback, that is what matters the most. What Chris Braswell was able to do tonight, again, he was number 1 in the SEC last year as far as pass rushing win rate. What did he do today? Got a sack. He was able to establish constant pressure to the quarterback. Dallas Turner, of course, there's some things he needs to fix up as far as contain the edge, but we all know one thing he can definitely do is get after the quarterback. Again, there's one thing I would like to see is that interior pass rush needs to get a little bit better. I'm not going to go too much on it, but it does need to get a little bit better. But overall wise, that's the one thing we need to focus on. And the one key thing we talked about, guys, there's a reason why we talked about our linebackers and how athletic they are compared to the former number 10, or if you want to call them X10, whatever you want to call them. And there's a reason why we talked about Lawson and Braswell and the rest of those guys, because they have special traits, especially when it comes to getting after the quarterback. You can line them up on the outside. You can shoot them up. You can shoot them up through the A gap. You can shoot them up through the B. Doesn't matter where, they can get home. And that's exactly what we need, because what did Rice do against Texas a little earlier today? They got to the quarterback. Let's be honest. Do we think that Rice secondary can match up with Jordan Whittington and Anai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and Jatavion Sanders? No, we all know that that's not going to happen. But how did Rice establish a lot of success early in that game? Because they rushed through they got to the quarterback, despite them having a very experienced offensive line. So that tells, including Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks got beat twice. We talked about how Will Anderson couldn't get home to the quarterback against Kelvin Banks. He got beat twice, which means that he's not invincible. We have, of course, 4 and 5 star guys. We can match with anybody in the country. So that's what matters the most. Do we have the front 7 that can get home and establish the quarterback? And if we can, doesn't matter who we have in the back, as long as we can get home, we'll be just fine.
Let me say this, Coach Smook, before you hop in. Piggybacking on what Jerick said. Remember, guys, Kelvin Banks, freshman last year, played extremely well against Will. It is a big difference in playing in the friendly confines of your own home stadium than it is going on the road to 103, 102,000 screaming fans that's going against you. So he won't be at home Saturday. So, take that into consideration as well.
Better ask Tyler Steen.
Facts.
Better ask Will Anderson. I guarantee you. And that's the game where I knew we weren't on this vibe, this Bama vibe this year. Last year, Texas, all those penalties. But to close out, I'm going to acknowledge this. I'll super chat, blah, 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 because y'all don't even support your own team. If y'all think Texas is a rollover, we are probably one of the top 2 teams you face this year. Alabama will play, I have no doubt, but Texas wins by 2 scores minimum. Thanks for the super chat, Poke Casino. The $20 super chat. We appreciate your love and support. I commend you on your confidence in making that declaration. But if you watch the Texas Longhorns play Rice today, I think Texas fans who know football are more concerned about what their offense is going to be able to do against our defense more than they're worried about stopping our offense. I think they know that the offense is going to be able to move the ball. I think we know our offense is going to be able to move the ball. How much we depend on the pass game is going to be how effective we are moving the ball. And I think the sooner that we can get out of depending on the pass game and allowing the run game to set it up for the pass game is when we'll be effective. That's what we saw from Milroe tonight. Even with the quick passes, the quick pass game now is an extended version of the run game. It's an extension of the run game. So getting a quarterback like Jalen Milroe in those type of situations is definitely favorable for when you talk about getting energy and a rhythm established. We established tonight, we acknowledged everything I had concerns about, and that was competency of the OCs and of the coordinators. We saw adjustments made, even though we weren't behind. Adjustments were constantly being made every drive, defensively and offensively. You saw players making, technique adjustments. Amari Knee-Black, one drive, first drive came out, misalignment, chipped the block. Next drive came out, instead of chipping the block, he sealed the block, and what happened? We break for a big run. So it's the small things that's going to matter this season, guys. I think we're prepped and primed for a great season, honestly. I think, like you said, Sean, you line Alabama up week 1 based off the product that we put on the field today. You line us up against any other team. You look at the stats. You look at the caliber of teams played. Alabama performed number 1 out of everybody today. That's Georgia. That's Auburn. Even though Auburn put up all those points, Auburn's defense didn't look great. Well, our defense controlled the whole game. We played a consistent style of defense the whole game. Maybe one big play or drive, and then we got off the field. And it was what the first 2 drives we got came 3 and out, right? I want to say the first 2 drives we had 3 and out. Yep. So that the first 3 and out was a big thing for me. That was a change of pace. Last year, you remember Utah came out and dragged her first drive out. So I'm excited. I think we're set up for success, guys. Chat, before we close out, going to start at the bottom with Coach Sean. And as we are labeling ours, name your offensive MVP and your defensive MVP. And let's do an X Factor player, somebody that surprised you that you didn't expect this come out tonight, okay? So, Coach Sean, take it away. Gonna give you the floor. Shoot, brother.
My offensive MVP is, of course, Jalen Milroe, somebody who I've been on for quite some time. My defensive MVP is Deontay Lawson, real middle linebacker play, aggressive middle linebacker plays. Thumping, filling, sideline to sideline. And my X factor is Isaiah Bonds. No drops, actually ran his routes hard, came out of his breaks great, low with some force, actually took the top off the defense. So those are my 3. Offense, I'm going with Milroe. Defense, I'm going with Deontay Lawson. And my X factor is Isaiah Bond, straight up.
All right, Coach Jay, give it to us, brother.
I'm going to say Jalen Milroe for offensive MVP, of course. Defensive MVP, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to go with Chris Braswell. Constantly putting pressure on the quarterback. Had a sack today. I was really impressed what I was able to see him. What I was able to see again showcase why he was the number 1 pass rusher as far as pass rush run away in the SEC last year. And then my X factor player had to be Quindarius Robinson. I didn't think he was going to get the reps as much as he did today. He was definitely an X factor for me. Again, you talked about it before, Coach, how he could have had 3 sacks this game. I'm excited because what do we always preach? When are we going to have that next Rashaan Evans, that next player? Now, and I'm not talking about 2017 Rashaan Evans, but 2016 Rashaan Evans, how he's a rotational player, but you can line him up out. You can line him up as an off ball. You can place him for the most part on the edge if you want to, even though it might not be a natural spot. That's where he can definitely get home to the quarterback. That's where I think Quindarius Robinson can fit the bill, and we have so many other players that can do it. Jahad Campbell is one of those guys also too. I can't wait to see him play one day. But no, Quindarius Robinson definitely showed me that not only he can be an X factor for this game, but for the future.
All right, shout out. Hey, we got some action in the chat, man. I love it. I love when we have different fans from different fan bases.
Read that, Smook. Read that, Smook, so you get out of here.
Alabama should not allow Texas to bring their ban from David Kendall. $2 super chat, man.
Fact,
appreciate
David.
you once again. And then this one right
Fact,
here,
David.
Hey,
Let me get on him, Smook. Let me get on him.
Hold on, Sean. He has a point. He has a point, and I want us to acknowledge this first before we even get on his neck. To the person who said I will probably cancel my super chat, here's another one. Alabama defensive line is something, and the QB is not bad, but your secondary will be pushed to the limit. I think our secondary is going to be just fine. Pushed to the limit, tested. We were tested tonight. We were tested. The balls I need to see thrown tonight for our secondary to show that they've made improvement, those balls were thrown 7 times tonight. Not one pass interference. Did we have a pass interference call?
Nope.
Okay, so that's all. That tells you the difference there. Last year against Utah State, 3 pass interference calls in the first half. So I remember. So go ahead, Sean, light them up.
Let me tell him this. Respect to his chat. Respect everything you saying, Poke Casino. But listen to me on this, brother. We're gonna talk football for about 10 seconds. Real football. We're not gonna sugarcoat it. You say that, right? Well, let me flip it around to you like this. For this one game, Texas has not faced a team that has a pass rush like they'll face Saturday. For this one game, if they play man against us the way they did in that game today, Jalen will have great success in passing and running. Also, Coach Sark will overcoach this week. Trust and believe. He's going to overcoach. He's going to cram a lot in there because you won't be at what is it, DKR Stadium. You're going to be in Tuscaloosa. It's always different going on the road, brother. And I can promise you those fans going to be livid Saturday. And lastly, going on the road is the toughest thing to do in this conference. I know you're playing in the little 12. Oh, excuse me, the big 12. I understand that. Respect you. But understand this, brother. Going on the road in this conference is absurd. You found that out when you played Arkansas a few years ago. It won't be the same old game like it was last year in 150,000 degrees with no AC in the locker room, no band. You coming on the road under the lights of Tuscaloosa, and I can promise you, with 103,000 screaming fans, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. So you better be ready, baby. Roll Tide.
Actuals, man. Actual factuals. Hey, to close it out, but to finish my statement, y'all, and we're gonna get on out of here. I think at the end of the day, I think we realize that Alabama is not done. I think people are more I think outside of the Alabama fan base, I think people are more disappointed at the fact that Jalen Milroe did not come out and throw an interception or struggle on his first drive. I think people are more interested in the fact of trying to create a different narrative other than the fact that Alabama went out and handled business. We didn't give up 14 points to a unranked middle conference non-power 5 school. We didn't go out there and give up super huge big plays to a non-power. We didn't get shut out in the quarter by a unranked, a defense who actually ranked better than some power 5 schools last season and returned majority of they personnel on that side of the ball. So I mean, we went out there and we handled business against a good tune-up opponent. But like you said, we got Texas coming up. And if you guys are excited to hear our insight, to hear our take on this upcoming Texas game coming up next Saturday, here we're going to be playing in Bryant-Denny Stadium in T-Town. I didn't give my MVPs, did I? Offensive MVP. I'm gonna go with Jalen Milroe. We're not gonna even play around. Offensive MVP. Jalen Milroe came out and shocked the world tonight. More so than shocked the world. He just solidified what I believe all three of us on this panel knew he could be with a competent coordinator. And that's all we saw today. Offensive coordinator, gameplay calling, play calling style fits the skill set of Jalen Milroe. Secondly, defensive MVP, I'm gonna go with Terrion Arnold, y'all. He literally forced them to stop throwing his side. They tried him early, and both times they came his way. Arnold, and yes, the first one, ticky-tack game, that's probably a pass interference call, but to me, that's technique. He didn't grab not once. He kept his hands open, never once grip, turned around, found the ball while the receiver was holding on to him and got a hand on the ball, made a good play on the ball. So to start that off this season and to do it like that, to set that tone, and then to see the other DBs, somebody's coaching those DBs right now about how to play the ball in the air, and I'm happy to see that. Terrion Arnold, he showed me tonight that he has made some strides. Can't wait to see that against Xavier Worthy and that wide receiver core next week. And then breakout star, Amari Knee-Black, man. I'm so happy to see Tommy Rees keying this dude, making him a primary option. This is going to be a big year for him, a breakout year. I see him having one of those years kind of like O.J. Howard had when he broke out that year, or even Irv Smith, the year Irv Smith came on the scene and went kind of crazy. So that's my takes for tonight. That's our takes for tonight. Before we get out of here, let me acknowledge this other super chat right here. Bama will be the best team we play in the regular season. I wouldn't speak too soon, man. If you're a Texas fan saying that, I wouldn't speak too soon. We know how Texas does historically, and with this week is not for Texas, but we know how Texas does.
Shout out Anthony Riggins. Shout out Big A. Shout out to the Coleman Elite. Shout out to his daughter. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to both his daughters. Shout out to Michaela. Shout out to Anthony Riggins in the chat, man. Huge Bama fan. It's my brother, Big A.
Hey, shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We try to get to everybody, everybody's, comments and stuff. It's just we got 600 some people in here. We need about 600 some likes too. So y'all run it up, man. Run it up for the Tide. Run it up for Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson, man. Once again, we want to thank Kyle for this platform that he's provided to get you all the authentic Alabama news and reactions and reports. If you liking the content, make sure you like and make sure you're subscribing. We're going to go ahead and let the panel end it. Coach Jay, tell everybody where they can find you on all the social media.
Yeah, you guys can find me at on Twitter at Gent716. You want to get in contact with me, talk about anything sports related or just business wise, hit me there on Twitter. Gent716. If you want to hit my Gmail is Jerick946 at gmail.com. And then also YouTube as well. If you guys want to check out my personal YouTube, it is Jant's Sports. So yeah, those are all my social medias. And again, if you guys want to contact me, hit up there. I always respond.
For sure, man. Hey, gents, we appreciate you, brother. Hey, Sean, tell the people where they can find you, brother.
Well, I'm still in the process of making my social media.
He said that last week.
Yeah, I gotta make it, man. I gotta make it, bro. I have a small, simple Facebook page that I just made because of my community that I live in under Ham Fam, HAMMFAM. If you would like to email me for anything, it's Hammond's Family, HAMMONDS 25 at gmail.com. Anything you want to know, anything I can help you with football related, I'm there. We can email all day and talk about football. I'll be right there talking with you. But the social media is coming, I assure you.
All right, man. Appreciate Sean, man. Hey, y'all. I just give a little quick back history for y'all that don't know. All of us go back to just being chatters, just like some of you all, man. And to be on this platform, I think we all count it a blessing. We don't take it lightly. We love the interaction with how you all are supporting us and giving your thoughts on what we're saying, the insights that we're providing. We appreciate y'all. So continue to support, man. But as for me, Coach Smook on everything. You see the y'all see it right here. That's how you spell it. Coach Smook on everything, every social media platform. If you go and type Coach Smook, you're going to see this lovely light-skinned brother. Don't be trying to holler at me. I got a crazy Jamaican wife. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get, I'm just playing. But yeah, y'all could definitely find me on there. And if you haven't, man, definitely go check out the YouTube. We got a lot of Bama content, gaming content when it comes to the NCAA revamp. I'm in a couple of leagues, content creator leagues. Things are happening, man. They're, pushing, the Bama agenda. They like the energy that we're bringing. A lot of you have came through and supported me on the lives on the YouTube channel. So I really appreciate that, man. And as we continue to grow, man, as a team, y'all continue to support my guys, man. Support Kyle and what he's doing. Don't forget, we have
Henderson.
Facts. Mm-hmm. He's going to be posting all those uploads. If you don't want to miss any content being posted, make sure you click the bell on the channel so you can get a notification every time there's a video posted. And also, don't forget to tune in for the live show on tomorrow. We're going to have the live call-in show. I can't remember what time, but you'll definitely see the announcement put out. Check us out on all our social medias. We'll be sharing it. Stay tuned for next week. All the analysis, all the reactions, all the insight, all the forward outlook for Alabama versus University of Texas at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll be right here bringing you the good stuff. And if that's all, man, roll Tide to everybody in the chat. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, man.